What's going on, you guys? Getting Addict here. Thank you for coming watching the Addict Show. Actually, we speak the details of gaming. I got my guests here, Kid Smoove.
What's up? It's the best spot. Kid Smoove representing Weapon Wheel and Apples and Oranges.
And I got my other guest, Kev West.
Hey, what up?
So let's go ahead and get straight into the show. I definitely, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of, Scorpio. I've been seeing, a lot of not crossplay, play anywhere, and I kind of wanted to do this show that's based on what's the future of Windows 10 and Xbox as a migration, as anything of this according. So, first off, I had to get a PC gamer. I don't really socialize with a whole lot of them. Kev West is one of the ones I do. And I felt like I needed, I needed to get Kid Smoove. So we're gonna go ahead and get straight into the topics. Which Kev West, as a PC gamer, I have heard a lot. I don't really socialize with the Windows 10 migration or the Windows 10 store a whole lot. But I've been told that the store and the problems that Windows 10 has is as a whole is really, really bad. So do you think there's any improvements that they could make that would make it more PC friendly, that would make more PC people want to shop there?
I really think most people need to get good. Like, Windows 10 isn't as bad as people say it is. Like, people, I don't know. I feel like a lot, especially PC players, well, people in general, like, it's like Windows 8.1. People complained about little shit that didn't really matter. I don't know, like, oh, I don't have a little start menu. Yeah, but it takes your whole screen when you go into this menu. Go there, click what you want, and keep going. So, I don't know. I'm good with Windows 10. I like it. I also like Windows 8.
You're like the only person I've ever seen that said that. Almost everyone I've talked to is like, it's trash.
Yeah, a lot of people say it is. But a lot of people, you have to ask them, too. Like, are you good with computers? That's a question you have to ask these days.
Yeah, that is a good point. People usually they're not the most savvy sex, so any kind of UI is it's besides the original Xbox One UI, I feel like that was it wasn't complicated, but I feel like it wasn't user friendly either.
Right. It's like when I make complaints, like I made a complaint when they first changed the UI, when they did that first Windows 10 UI. And I'm glad the changes that I asked for actually ended up happening. I didn't like that the My Games and Apps, they threw it at the bottom underneath everything. I'm like, no, you put games up in the forefront. You know what I mean? It's different for things like that. For things, to me, it just made more sense to put the games in front instead of in the back somewhere. But for the things I'm hearing people complain about Windows 10, it's mostly like, oh, I have to use the store. Okay. Use the store. Use the store, put an icon on your desktop, click the icon, quit bitching.
Now, do you think that a lot of it has to do with people just don't want to, go away from Steam?
Or a lot of it.
So, a lot of it's just they're used to what they know, and that's Steam. So, people don't want to go into anything new that they don't know, which I can understand, definitely.
Yeah, because Origin gets the same thing, and Origin's actually not a bad service. It was when it first launched. It was pretty shitty, but so was Steam when it first came out. And people bitched about Steam when it first came out.
It takes years for these these places to. I mean, look how long it took Steam to really get familiar with what they're doing.
That's just it. These companies have to learn at some point. Well, if they want to get money, they're gonna have to learn.
So we have Cal in the house from a Tick Podcast.
Yo, what's up? Give me 1 sec.
But yeah, so I definitely like the thought process on Windows 10. Like, a lot of people, I definitely does think it hurts the Xbox brand to a point, but I don't think it's enough to make a huge relevant difference. Because I do feel like a lot of your hardcore basic audience, there's a lot of hardcore PC people that are only PC people. And then, but a lot of them do have an Xbox. So, you are going to kind of take away the incentive for these selective group to not get an Xbox because they have a PC. And there's no real need to put up any kind of statistics. We know that you can make a pretty beast PC for about the same cost for an Xbox One costs.
I think the people who want a PC are going to get a PC.
Yeah, so I mean,
putting the exclusives on PC, I don't think it's going to make a big deal. It's one of those things like, look at Call of Duty. Well, Call of Duty is a bad example. Titanfall 2, or either of the Titanfalls, they still sold better on Xbox. It's still something that's more of an Xbox deal, even though, yes, it's on PC. Yes, it's great for the people who only have PCs, but it didn't hurt the sales of the Xbox version. Gears 4 is another good example of that.
I definitely agree with you because, if anything, it'll help with software sales because there's certain games out there, especially games like Halo Wars 2, that I don't think is going to have the dominance of, that's a PC genre. And I feel like having that open in the Windows 10 program definitely helps with the sales of it because there's not a lot of console gamers that are into RTSs. So it definitely, do you guys think when they made Halo Wars 2, do you guys think that they already had the mindset of Windows 10?
I mean, when they made the original?
No, the Halo Wars 2, when they started development for that, do you guys already think that they already intended on putting that on Windows 10?
I mean, I think they did. Honestly, I think that all of that changed as soon as Satya Nadella came in. This is why I always try to focus on Microsoft as a whole when it comes to Xbox. When he came in, a lot of the philosophy changed more towards the PC side of things. It wasn't that Microsoft wasn't already doing it. They just had a better hardcore focus on console. So I think as soon as he came in, they had already started making decisions to put games on PC. But mainly in doing so, I think it made it really good for them because now with Scorpio, you can see the benefits of putting the games on PC and it being easier and being able to transfer from the PC to console now. So it was definitely smart because RTSs are actually better on PC and they're more rounded and more well known for PC. They just work great with keyboard and mouse. I'm not a fan of RTSs, which is why I didn't support Halo Wars 2. But I know a lot of people purchased the game. I just don't think that Halo Wars 2, and no disrespect to the Halo fans, I don't know if that's a long-term sustainable franchise for the Xbox brand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I love Halo Wars 2. I've been playing it a lot, but it's definitely one of those niche games that it's good because they have it because I think Microsoft right now is the only console to have an RTS on. So it gives it.
No, they have XCOM 2 on both Xbox One and PS4.
Oh yeah, XCOM 2. But it definitely gives more of a diverse lineup with the Xbox brand because a lot of people don't know this, but I do think Halo Wars 2 story. I can't really go too much into it because obviously I don't want to spoil anything, but you could tell by the ending of Halo Wars 2 that it's going to have an impact on Halo 6 by far. Mm-hmm. It's going to have an impact.
Halo 6 or maybe even Halo Wars 3.
Yeah, so, Halo Wars 3. I hope they make one. I don't know what the budget for Halo Wars 2 is, so I can't really determine if this isn't even in a ball game where they would even consider it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to see. I don't think they really go into detail about that. Halo Wars 2 had the Ultimate Collection that came out 4 days early, so any hardcore Halo Wars fan was going to pick that version up. So that's a digital, so you wouldn't see that in the retail. So I hope it does good, but it's a toss up. It's just something we have to look into. I don't really go into the sales, but when it comes to a niche game like this, the sales do matter because if they don't make a decent amount of money, they're not going to even look into a third Halo Wars 3. You got anything to say to this kid? You've been over there quiet. I know it's PC, but
No, what can you repeat like the origins of the question in regards
The
to?
question was: do you know of any Windows 10 improvements that they would make to make it more user friendly, to bring in more consumers to that platform?
Honestly, the only thing I could consider, and I would say, at least for the gaming part, I would just replace the Windows Store with the Xbox app.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing.
The Xbox app works to me more like a platform than like the actual Windows Store, and that's what I'm pretty much in. Even though when you go to buy a game from the Xbox app, I think it brings you to this the Windows Store, but it's just a better interface. It looks better. Everything's right there, whether it be parties, messaging, and whatnot. It just seems like a more appropriate place, and hopefully they can do it. I guess it would be a little bit difficult because the Xbox app is really centered around really just the games and the apps, whereas the Windows Store is kind of centered around like everything.
I think they can make it work because it already works that way with Xbox games. Like for me, because probably because I'm usually playing games on my PC anyway. If I want to get a game and I know it's going to be what you call a crossover play anywhere, I'll just get it on the Xbox side because it's easier.
Right.
You just click it and go.
I mean,
well, at least when that was working. I don't know if they patched it out. I heard they patched it out. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to do that shit all the time.
I think having the Xbox logo would make sense. I said this before. If they were going to do this, the one thing they need to do is make sure that they really present the Xbox brand as a platform. I've never liked the idea of Xbox Windows 10.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
It's kind of mixed marketing too.
Right, it is, because what you want to try to do is try to convince the PC gamer or make the appeal to the PC gamer that you're playing Xbox on PC, not that you're using your PC to play Xbox. You have to present PC as a secondary platform for Xbox games. So, like Kid said, it would be smart if you made the Xbox logo on the Windows, or at least a section of the Windows Store with Xbox logo where you can find all of your games, because you want the Xbox platform to really represent the gaming side of Windows. And if you can do that, it blurs the line more, and that it's not really separating Xbox from the brand. When you do Xbox and Windows 10, there's a separation. And that's why people say, well, I can get it on PC. But you can't just get it on PC. You can't just get it on any PC. You can't get it on Windows 8 or Windows 7. You can't get it on Linux or a Mac. You can only get out on Windows 10 and out of the Windows Store. So it's just really important that Microsoft does better marketing when it comes to their games being pushed through Windows 10 and Xbox. And honestly, I 100% agree with Kev. I'm like, they have to be able to figure out a way to market their brand and the Xbox brand as a whole and not as two separate entities. I know they want to make the PC gamer feel, I guess you could say, relevant or noticed by putting them in the same box as their Xbox consumers. But the reality of it is that we, the Xbox console gamers, are what truly supports the Xbox brand. And you can look at the numbers and see it. Okay, like PC games that Microsoft is putting out, Play Anywhere, they're not doing massive numbers like that. They're just not. People aren't just going out and buying, 500,000 copies of Halo Wars 2 or Killer Instinct or something like that on PC. It's not selling massive. It's not that it's not a success, because the software is actually been a success on PC because the revenue has gone up. Software revenue, but Xbox the last quarter has gone up. But it's the console base that continues to support it. It will be the console base that will continue doing it moving forward.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons too why some of these games haven't been successful on PC as well. Look at the trends on PC. I don't remember the last time I saw an Xbox game sale on PC, for example, where I saw a study some time ago. Most PC gamers wait for the game to go on sale because they know it's going to go on sale. So like, why pay? So and I think that's a big difference between a PC player and a console gamer, where most console sales happen very early in the life cycle of a game. It's kind of the opposite on PC. Most PC players will wait until it comes down to be like $20, catch it on a Steam sale, maybe $30. So, and I don't think there's any game, and also what genres are popular on PC.
Right.
Is the port any good? Those things matter too.
It
Um,
does. But you know what? I also think, and in agreement with what you're saying, I also think that Microsoft can't, and this is why I keep stressing, Microsoft can't play the role of trying to be Steam. They can't compete.
yeah,
Because
I
the
don't think they should be
Xbox
Steam.
gamer,
They can be
yeah,
their
but
own thing, but yeah, definitely can't be Steam.
they can't compete because the Xbox gamer wouldn't stand for it. Could you imagine us paying $60 for a game on console and a game coming out for $39.99? Imagine if Halo 6 came out on Xbox at $59.99 and $39.99 on PC. We'd lose our minds.
Yeah, I
Why not
mean,
offer the same sales on Xbox?
look
Because the
how
games on PC on Steam, you don't buy them on Steam day one. Nah, you'll pay $60. You wait, or you go to the third party sites. The third party sites are where you catch the deals. And then, or if you wait on Steam, or if you buy it on Steam, you're going to be waiting 3 to 6 months to catch that deal, which is what a lot of PC players do. So just wait.
yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I definitely think that with time it will definitely adapt. It's gotta. It's like Kev said. It gets a lot of negative slack for no reason. But the more time goes, I think the more the service will grow on the PC consumer. And then a lot of the thing is, I've
Well,
noticed with a lot of PC gamers is they want to see how committed Microsoft is to the
mhm,
market.
right. That's a very big part of it. Now, I was surprised actually that Gears of War didn't do as well on the PC as I thought it would. I thought Gears 4 would actually do really well. It's a good port. Right time of year, gorgeous game, good gameplay, decent enough story, good multiplayer. I thought Gears 4 would have done great. I'm ready to see. I've heard the rumors about Halo 3 Anniversary being Play Anywhere. I'm wondering how well that'll do. I think Halo is something that will sell really well on PC. And some PC players have been asking for years.
Yeah, definitely. If it's really supported too, they go all out making, and they're clearly getting better at the ports for PC too.
Oh yeah, you look at the difference between, like I said, Gears 4 and Quantum Break, or even Gears Ultimate and Gears 4, or Halo Wars wasn't a bad port. Forza Horizon 3 was kind of trash, but it wasn't a bad game. It's just a bad port.
And this is something new for Microsoft too. I'm sure.
Not really. Microsoft started off doing PC
Well,
games.
I know that, but I feel the way I would say it was like when they did PC gaming, I think it was a lot more simplistic than doing it now, because there's I don't think that PC gaming, obviously it's always been to the higher standard, but what I've been told is like back then there wasn't as many configurations going towards graphic cards. Like there's a lot of different formulas these days if you develop on a PC.
I don't know about back then, but for the most part, if you code the drivers, you should be fine. Because what a driver does is it tells your hardware how to talk to the software. And drivers will cover a whole line of graphics cards. Like NVIDIA doesn't release a separate driver for every one of their graphics cards. They release a driver that works with all of their recent graphics cards. Say they release a driver tomorrow, they're gonna have like their 10 series, 9 series, and maybe some of the 7s. And those are gonna work with this driver.
Mhm.
Definitely.
And you code the game to that. Otherwise, you're gonna be in there trying to worry about all kinds of wild configuration.
I don't I don't game on PC a whole lot, but I've been
Mhm.
told like the top standard, the one everyone should be looking for is like is a port like GTA 5, because I've been told that's a phenomenal port on PC.
It is. It's a great port. I mean, all the versions of GTA 5 are great. Maybe not the 360 version. I felt like it barely ran on 360. But yeah, I played it on PS4, X1, 360, PC. They're all good versions.
All right,
Um, the PC version obviously has the benefits of being on a PC, but the console versions aren't bad.
all right. So think we're all pretty much done with this. Anyone got any last minute thing they want to say with this topic?
Nope. On to
So,
next.
okay, this next topic, I do think that these next two topics really, actually maybe even the next three, but this second topic, I think is one of the key things Microsoft needs to really like, they need to push this as much as they can, and that's play anywhere. I feel like this feature, you buy one copy and it goes to multiple platforms. I think this key feature is the feature that's going to grow both of these install bases to the fullest. And that you obviously we're getting more third party support. Like I think Resident Evil 7 was one, if I believe so. You got Recore, that was one. Obviously first parties. I'm talking more of a third party. They had Call of Duty. I don't think it was a play anywhere, but I do think there's a Windows 10 copy of it. Right?
There's a Windows 10 and the Steam version, and then they fucked that up by separating the two communities.
Yeah.
So Windows 10 people couldn't play with Steam people.
How important do you guys think this feature is for the Windows 10 and Xbox brand?
Play anywhere?
Yeah, play anywhere. I mean, do you think it's something they should really thrive for and push for and try to get third parties on it?
See, here's the thing. I think it's good for Windows 10. And it's a good incentive. It's a good idea knowing that, okay, well, some of our customer base do have PCs or could potentially be gaming on PC. But then again, how I think about it, I still to this day still believe that Play Anywhere was a good, just kind of really a beta and an invitation for third-party developers and even first-party developers to get their games on Scorpio, like running to their best ability, like already having like the 4K assets and everything.
Right.
I felt like it was just like a good way. It's like, okay, and once they got the first party was a given, once they got the third parties on, like Capcom and now Activision with the Call of Duty, even though it's not technically a Play Anywhere, it's still running on like the Windows 10. It was just like, okay, well, boom, now here's the Scorpio dev kit, and let me show you how easy it is to get this over into our upgraded console. So that I think Play Anywhere will still exist to a certain extent, but I think honestly it was just another way to really get them a lot of developers on board with Scorpio.
Is there any particular title that you guys think is a huge it needs to be third party to really push this feature?
I don't think third party on Play Anywhere is super important. I'd love to have it. I look at some games, but I'm a huge proponent of crossplay too, though.
Yeah, that's actually the next topic is crossplay and the relevance to it. But
I don't know if I don't know. I don't really see the listen, I get the benefit for the Xbox gamer. I don't know if third parties benefit from it. I've never thought third parties benefited from it ever. And the reason why I say that is because as a third party developer, you want to make money
on Steam too.
Well, not even that. But if you have an opportunity to put your game as many places as possible, why would you limit your amount of sales?
What I meant was, if you put it as a crossplay, you're going to potentially lose some sales because you're going to have Xbox related people that have it on Windows 10 now, and they're probably going to try it on the free version that they got for purchasing their Xbox One game, then buying it from Steam first.
But at the same time, I think people tend to forget there are times where people will pick up the game and give the code to someone else.
Well, the cool part about Xbox Play Anywhere is tied to your gamer tag, so you can't do that. It is, but you can still play it. You can still play it at the same time with two different people. Yeah,
so
you can.
My thing is
with the game share, you can do anything on game share.
Right. So my thing is, I'm looking at it from the perspective of if I get if I'm a third party developer, and this is why I think it's not going to take off. Right, it's great from a developer standpoint for Scorpio. What Microsoft's trying to do is smart, trying to get third parties on it. But you can see the committal, people who are committing to it, is very few. It's not a lot. Because it's not a lot, you have to really question how relevant can this really be. third parties are sitting there trying to make as much money as they can. Production costs are skyrocketing. Graphic programs into like nowadays developers barely even try to upgrade or renew their graphic programs because it's so expensive to do. And technology is moving so slow, and it costs millions and millions in production. So then to turn around and give 2 games for the price of 1 is limiting.
Oh yeah,
So
I agree.
It kind of puts you in a position where you're losing a sale for third party. But for Microsoft, it makes sense. The problem is, and I said this before, the problem is that Microsoft, and when they first did this, it's the same thing I said. If Microsoft wants this to work, they have to heavily invest in first party. They have to build a portfolio of games that is so large that makes people want to go to the store to buy their first party. I'm hoping at E3 we get to see something of that or something leading towards that if they want to continue to make Play Anywhere a relevant stable going forward.
I agree with you that Xbox does need a bigger library of games. I think Forza, Gears, and Halo have run their course for the most part. And while it's great to have a new one, it's one of those things like Mario. Yeah, you love to have a new Mario. I do think they need more long-term IPs. However, Xbox Play Anywhere is also a good counter to used game sales. Used game sales, especially on console, are still huge. I'm sure that takes a huge dip in the third-party dev costs too. And if you can sell people on, hey, well, if we get them on Xbox Play Anywhere, now we got them digital.
Yeah, it's
a good counter to the idea of, hey, well, you might be losing a digital game code.
It's like I said, it's definitely this generation is definitely took a hit on GameStop because it's more acceptable to have digital games. Last gen into like the last maybe year to 2, you never heard of people really buying games digitally, like ever.
Right. Yeah, you didn't. Because they didn't have the hard drive space for it. PS3 was slow. It had a lot of digital games. It was slow as hell. And the Xbox, I don't think the Xbox was very good at it. Digital games. I didn't think 360 did that very well.
360 was pretty good with their ID at Xbox program. I had a ton of digital games, just not AAA. Most of the AAA titles I would purchase physical. This generation, I've gone all digital. I don't have not one retail copy in my library. I really don't. I game share. I have like 350 games between me and my boy, and then all our back compact games and the Xbox One games. I don't game on PC, so I don't even use Play Anywhere. Like right now, I'm in the hospital right now. I couldn't use Play Anywhere if I wanted to. I don't have the network. You know what I'm saying? I'm bored out of my mind. So it's a crazy situation.
I think that might be a bad taste in your mouth about it too, because like you said, you don't use that Play Anywhere. I use it. I jump back and forth. Like me, my preferred platform is PC. I love mouse and keyboard. Gotcha. So I'll play a game on PC and I'll play it there. Sometimes I want to go on the couch and share it with my kids, so I can go play it there. So for me as a parent, that's great. Or if say I have 2 Xboxes in my house, I like the game share feature because now me and my son can play Destiny together.
Right. And that I don't mind.
Things like that are great. So I look at that as like an add-on to the game share.
Yeah, it's definitely. I do think that it's more about convenience than anything else.
Well, it's a lot of things about convenience. I think it's a very pro-consumer tactic too. I don't really think as much about how corporations can make money. That's just not how my mind works. I think about it as, okay, what can we do for the consumer? Like the consumer is king in the end of all this.
Yeah, if you keep the consumer happy, it'll increase your overall sales on everything.
Exactly, it's just paying it forward. So for me, I said
job of too lately.
You kind of brought in here, yeah.
No, what I was saying was I think that's what Microsoft's been doing a good job of lately too. Is since Phil took over, there was a lot of changes where they've been really pro-consumer. I think a lot of people tend to ignore a lot of the early stuff that happened because of the 2 cancellations and the studio closures. You think about the paywall that we used to have with Netflix and Hulu. You think about digital digital discounts and sales and the Idea Xbox program and preview program and all of these programs that they've been adding and all the upgrades that the Xbox has been getting and the feedback and the back compat, they've been very, very pro-consumer. And I think
I give
had
Phil
no choice.
Phil Spencer a lot of credit with that because I think it
absolutely.
was a lot of it was Phil Spencer.
Absolutely. And Scorpio is a product that really gets Microsoft back to who they are being. I think with Don Matrick, as a business mind, he figured out a way to make the Xbox brand billions. And but I think Phil Spencer, as a gamer, understands how to make Xbox relevant. And I think that's what's really important. And
I
again,
mean,
like
was Xbox ever irrelevant? I mean, I don't think there's technically an irrelevant gaming platform. They're all the platforms are doing well.
That when Xbox One first came out, it was irrelevant. It was for a small period. It had a lot of great games, and we all loved the platform, but clearly its world dominance, that it had from the 360 era was lost. And it took a long time to recapture some of the people that they lost. You got to remember.
Yeah, it pissed people off. I was one of them. One of the biggest reasons I'm on PC now was because of that Xbox One reveal. I was a big 360 advocate. I had never played games on PC before then.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of us, like let's keep it 100. A lot of us grew up on Japanese consoles, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Definitely
PS,
me.
You know what I'm saying? Right, like I didn't like the first Xbox. I hated the original Xbox. I was such a JRPG, PS2. Square Enix was my favorite company. And I wound up getting an Xbox One because it came out first. Two, because I saw Gears of War, and it was like the greatest thing I've ever seen when I first saw it. I was absolutely blown away by how amazing the game looked. And I discovered Halo, and then Knights of the Old Republic on the OG Xbox, and that's when I picked one up. I was blown away by how good the Xbox was. And then 360 was just absolutely a revelation to me. Just everything. When I got a PS3, I think what kept me on 360 the most was that no matter what I played on my 360, I was never alone. When they introduced Party Chat, I always was with someone, no matter what I played. But on PS3, I was always by myself.
I think I have friends that are even to this day on the Sony platform. Like they said that it's definitely more community friendly now. But he says that like it's not that I think it's because the dude really don't have a friend base on the PlayStation. But he's like even when he's in like parties and stuff, it feels like unorthodox to him because it's something he doesn't do a whole lot. And I'm like, dude, he says he feels like he's still by himself on PlayStation.
When I play on PlayStation, most of the time I feel like I'm by myself too. Like, and I've owned all four of them, though I got the 3 after the 4 came out. And when I found out how terrible the 4 was or 3 was, I was like, ugh. But that's in the store for another day.
The PlayStation brand has such a single player. Like the amount of single player games on there doesn't call for you to be with anybody. You literally could just play PlayStation by yourself and enjoy it. Whereas Microsoft, a lot of their big titles is all social. Forza.
They built the entire brand off of social.
Halo, like group chat, 12 people on the party, like everything you do on Xbox is social, and to their detriment, I think it hurts them sometimes, like Scalebound.
That is one time that definitely hurts them when you build a brand based off multiplayer, real, shoot 'em up kind of scenario, and you have a game, you have certain games that come out that's not to that genre or not to what you built your brand really contributing to. They tend to sell poor.
Right.
It's one of those things where I think the reason why a lot of these new Xbox exclusives don't do well is because most of them are single player. And like Cal said, the Xbox community is a multiplayer community.
Right.
It's the same reason why Xbox dudes were talking shit when the Uncharted collection, the Nathan Drake collection, came out with no multiplayer.
Yeah.
And PlayStation dudes were fine with it because they play mostly single player games anyway.
Right.
because most of the PlayStation games are single player.
It doesn't matter though. PlayStation people had a field day with Master Chief Collection.
Man, I'm still mad about Master Chief Collection.
Man,
And Halo is the main reason I still own an Xbox.
when I was so excited, Kev, when that game came out. I don't know if Kid was in the party, but like my face was so lit up when we were about to play this, and then it was like cannot find a match, and it's just I went from like all being giddy to like what's going on, and then I tried it for like 30 minutes. And then I was just defeated. Like I was mentally destroyed.
And it's funny because like it mostly works now, but the community's gone, so you're back to searching for matches.
It's
like a long
you know
time.
I have a friend that he said the only way you will fix that is you got to give that game for free. He's like that's the only way you're gonna fix that community.
I actually think that would be a great idea. Do one of these months for games with gold.
And give away
That would
Mass
be amazing.
No,
Even
the
if it was the
Master
only
Chief
game
Collection.
you gave out. Yeah, the MCC. Yeah, you give that shit away for free on Xbox Live Games with Gold? Yeah, that's amazing.
It would definitely liven up.
Mm-hmm. Because
right.
the Master Chief Collection conceptually was amazing. It's just the multiplayer was broken. I think if they would have gotten that shit out the gate day one, they would have caught up with Sony.
And you know, the Master Chief Collection, even with the multiplayer thing, messed up. And you know, it's like Kev said, it's still not even really 100% fixed. It's better, but I think that has a lot to do with population too. But even with the multiplayer messed up, this game had 4 single players, and it took me a minute to play through that game with just the single players because you don't really notice that, but going through Halo 1 through 4 single player takes a minute.
Oh, I did it. I did it through a run over the summer right before Destiny came out because I had never played Halo. I didn't have the original Xbox. I had a PS2, and then I got the 360 because I was offended at that price of the PS3. So I had never, and then I got my 360. Halo 3 came out. I'm like, I'm not attached to this. So right before Destiny came out, I said, let me play through these Halos.
A lot of people came into Xbox through Gears and Halo, and especially Halo. Xbox. It's not just Xbox that needs to really thank Halo, but the gaming industry itself needs to thank Halo because I feel like the gaming industry really made it possible for people to like, first person shooters has a life on consoles. I feel like that really pushed the genre, and I feel like the 360, that's clearly one of the things that dedicated the 360 to do as well as it did. But I had to give it. People might dog on this game, but Call of Duty made first person shooters and made gaming itself more. What's the word I'm looking for? It made it more socially acceptable. You have pro gamers, whatever you call them. Before Call of Duty started copping out with hits after hit, gaming wasn't looked at the same way it is now. But when Call of Duty started putting 360s in everyone's house, and everyone was talking about Call of Duty, people are like, more people gamed than people thought.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things where, like, usually you saw a grown man game, and it's like, oh, he just played Madden, he just played NBA Live. Nobody cared about that.
Yeah, and these are the people that actually fund everything.
Now, I don't know too many people who don't game now.
And it's like I said, as much as you don't like Call of Duty, you got to give that brand has done so much to the gaming industry as a whole. It's not even funny.
I can't lie. I still like Call of Duty. I still fuck with Black Ops 3. I still turn it on every so often.
Man, I can't believe Black Ops 2 is like 100,000 player shit.
Yeah.
But backwards compatible is not important, you guys.
Shit. I've been saying. I remember before they announced backward compat, and I was screaming for it, and everybody was saying backward compat's not important on both sides. Yeah, and I'm like, shit, that's one of my favorite features on PC.
And Activision was holding that card. They were. They raised the price digitally right before they dropped it too.
Nah, you go get that bitch at GameStop. What you doing? You catch it at GameStop for like $4.
Kid, you gonna get some free time? You gonna get some free time off? You gonna head to E3?
I'm not going out to E3. I don't be making them trips. I might go to PAX West. And that's only because I live in the Seattle area.
Gotcha. Smoove, you gonna be out there?
Yeah. There's Saturday to Thursday.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we'll be there Saturday to Friday. I got the dopest hotel. This hotel we got is 1.3 miles from the convention center. Literally walking distance. Yo, it's crazy.
It's not a bad walk.
It was sick about it. It was last minute. Like somebody must have canceled, and the hotel was stupid cheap. Like
Damn.
Between my group, we only paid $345 a piece in the heart of downtown LA.
That's crazy.
Shit.
Damn.
Crazy.
I'm in West Hollywood.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy. So we're gonna have the squad out there. It's gonna be dope. I'm excited for it and stuff like that, man. I'm really hyped. Looking forward to this convention. 3rd year in a row going.
Man, I couldn't see myself going unless I was there to see some good fights. You're gonna see some people on YouTube. Like, oh, we have YouTube beef fighting in the parking lot.
I was out there, man. Everybody's all friendly.
Like, yeah, but now it's open to the public.
That's the part that I don't even think open to the public's going to make it like hostile or anything like that. But my big thing is like I've seen people say, oh, these people don't play, they'll beat your ass and shit. I'm like, I didn't. Okay, but there was scenarios. I know I know Tick. I know you guys had like your cameraman had some kind of fiasco.
Yeah. Our guy, we were what happened was he was on, I believe there's a West Hall and a South Hall when you go into the LA Convention Center. And on the South Hall is where third parties mostly be at, which I think is actually where Microsoft is going to be this year. And on the West Hall is where the 3 major pubs normally is, which is Sony, Microsoft, and Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo is over there. And then you have all of the media outlets, IGN, GameSpot, and they had their little booths in their little areas, and the Twitch people and Capcom. And we were on the first party side, and it was me and Anchorman and Beat Money, and he was on the opposite side getting footage. Mafia had this amazing booth. It was like this.
Yeah, they had a huge area actually. The line was like 3 hours long.
It was amazing because they built this booth, and the booth was a house. It was like an old Southern house with jazz. A jazz band was in there and everything. So it was really dope. And he was recording footage, and some dude walked by him and knocked his camera on the floor. He has like legit equipment. This was our camera guy at the time. Camera falls and the light breaks. It's like a light. It's like $500. So my dude is hot. He's like, yo, like, what are you doing? And the guy turns around and he just flexed on him. Like, what? Who are you talking to? One of these type of things. So my boy gets up, the guy gets in his face, my boy pushes him, and the guy punches him. And they get into a scuffle. Security comes, they take my guy. We don't know where he's at for hours. We're looking for him. It's like the conference is over. We're trying to get out of there to head to FanFest, the after parties, all the stuff like that. And we can't find him. We're talking to him, trying to find him, calling him, getting an Uber. And he's being detained. The other dude was being detained. Come to find out, somebody let this dude in with their badge. And him and the guy looked like, so he was able to get in with his ID. And he wound up starting a ruckus, and he didn't even belong there. Now my guy is now depressed because his camera's broke. He don't want to record no more. We're trying to figure out what's going on with him. He don't want to say nothing because he's upset. It was a lot. It's a lot of drama, and like you get these people that really don't care. Like they go to the convention, but then they're not there for the convention. They're not there for the culture. They're there to play games, but they're bringing the street with them. And it's like you have professional people there. You know what I'm saying? Professional people there trying to get information and news out to their readers and their followers and their supporters. It's tough, man. It's tough. So, and it's going to be a lot of people. It's like they sold like 15,000 tickets. If you think going in there now is crazy with just the media, and I can tell you right now, getting on a line is not going to be easy. It's not. You're talking about Sea of Thieves line had 400 people.
I don't even want to remember that line, dude.
If I didn't know Craig Duncan personally, I would have never played Sea of Thieves.
We
I would
had
have never played it.
we had someone that came with us, and keep in mind this individual is not the most patient man. Man, he waited in that line for like 3 hours to play it, and I kind of felt bad because I stuck in there afterwards and sat down. I was like, "You got to give me that shirt, dog," because it was too small for him. He looked at the shirt and he was just so happy he played that. He's like, he just handed it to me. I was like, "Okay," grabbed it and walked away.
It's funny, like when you get in, whatever you want to play, you gotta play immediately. Because the rest of the day,
your name's Zelda, you ain't playing that.
like if you play whatever the hottest game is, you need to go there immediately because you're not. We waited 2.5, almost 3 hours to play the Division one time. We only had 20 people in front of us. It's like 15 minutes per person per game. And then we got skipped by the dudes from Silicon Valley because celebrities come. Method Man was there last year. Steven Spielberg was there the year before. Cisco was there. Kadeem Hardison from A Different World was there. Just all these artists, football players. You just see a whole bunch of people that just be walking around the convention. Old has-beens and old athletes and stuff. But, these guys get priority. And then they get ahead of you sometimes, and you've been waiting online forever. It's not. If you're not there to do work, I can tell you right now, if you're not there to do work, man, you're not going to have a lot of fun, especially with 15,000 new people.
Yeah, and especially, if you think you're going to go to these events and you're going to play game after game, you're not.
It's not happening. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's mainly about being in the industry and, being around what you're passionate about. That is the benefit of it.
And after parties, but that's this after party was popping. That was the greatest after party I've ever been to, ever. That party was so sick after the Bethesda conference.
Bethesda definitely knows how to do it right, man.
We went up in there. They were serving lager. They had dark beer, light beer, giant turkey wings. Blink 182 was playing. Oh, man. Everybody from the industry was there. Adam Sessler, Morgan Webb, Todd Howard, just mingling among people.
They had people. They had these chicks just passing out In-N-Out burger around the entire facility.
It was like they had a Fallout Boy candy stand. Fallout, the Pip Boy was so big. And they had nothing but retro candy, Sugar Daddies, Chico Sticks, Bazooka Joes, just surrounded in a giant table. Grab whatever you want. They had a Prey Dots ice cream machine. They had Doom was on VR. Fallout was on VR. They had the Gwent. Is it Gwent? Which game did they got? No, that's CD Projekt Red. They had Elder Scrolls card game. They got the Elder Scrolls card game playing on one side virtually. It was nuts. It was just an amazing experience. Open bar, whatever you want to drink. You know what I'm saying? It was dope, bro. It was such a dope after party. Twitch had an after party. Microsoft threw 2 parties. They had, if you went to FanFest and you got passes, you could either go watch a movie with some people, or you can go with them to this Twitch party with the team, Aaron Greenberg and Phil Spencer and all that. Yo, it was fire, bro.
Yeah, Aaron Greenberg. We went to the one after the movie thing. Instead of going to the movie thing, we walked out there. Man. Aaron Greenberg was already getting kind of buzzed, and he's sitting there staggering up the stairs.
Greedy from New York. Greedy gets it in. Greedy's shoe game is no joke, bro. He got that NY swag on the low. Which is pretty funny. I mean, we're getting off topic and talking about E3, but it's a great experience.
E3 season. We should be talking about E3. E3 is more relevant to me than talking about Scorpio. I'm like, people way overhyping Scorpio.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
I don't know, man.
I saw a tweet. Somebody said they were comparing the 1080s to 1080 Ti's.
I don't know about no Ti, but they did.
I don't know about the base 1080.
They did though. And here's the reason why they said the 1080, because the 1080 was the only card based on Digital Foundry's testing that ran Forza Apex without frame drops. And Scorpio does the same thing. The 1070 actually had frame drops when it rains. Not when it doesn't rain, but when the effects came in. But because they did such extensive work on the CPU, and the PC part doesn't have it. The PC doesn't have the extensive work that the hardware does. So because the console was optimized to get rid of the bottlenecks even though the CPU is weak and it's only a small boost, they eliminated all the issues that would cause problems within the hardware. So the little roll bumps that you would get on PC, you don't get on the Scorpio. So it's actually
that's console
punching.
optimization. They downgrade the console
Right, so it's
version
punching.
to make it play better on the console.
Exactly, and it's punching above its weight, and that's the thing. So that's why everybody's comparing it to a 1080, but it's definitely not a 1080 Ti. Absolutely not.
At the
I don't
same
even think
time,
it's
people don't like when they say things like, "Oh yeah, the 1080 or 1070 can't play games at 4K." It's more than capable of doing so. You think about people playing at 4K on 780s. It's about what settings you're using.
right.
You know, and that's what, and I think that's the one thing that people say something like, "Oh yeah, well, a 1070 can't play Forza Apex 6 at 4K." I'm pretty sure if you tone down some of that anti-aliasing,
Yeah,
you probably could, because anti-aliasing is the biggest frame rate killer of all, and
Yeah.
all it
I mean-
does is it makes the image clear like a higher resolution would. It's fake resolution.
right. You'll wind up getting what you need to get the 4K. I think people look at Forza and see, and this is why I think people are excited, is because you look at Forza and you see 4K native in X amount of time, but you also see the 4K assets,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
that's
I'm
the
not-
biggest difference.
I
That's
agree
the
with you.
biggest difference.
I
And
agree with you,
that-
and that's why I talk about the PC players throwing shade too, because it's equivalent to about an RX 480. It's a little more powerful than what it looks like than an RX 480.
Right. So
But
I
if
think
you optimize the game to run right, yeah, the 480 can probably do 4K just fine if you optimize the game right.
yeah. But I mean, for a console, it's really impressive. And if they can get that console, which I still think is going to be 500.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people feel like it's going to be 399 because they did all the customizations, but people aren't thinking about how future-proof they did the console, the FreeSync,
I
the
think
4K
what's gonna bring that price up is that
player. Like,
is that heat reduction in it.
yeah, it is little things that cooler, that vapor cooler. That's going to add up, and that's going to be an additional $100 right there.
Yeah, you're
Well,
you're
I don't know
definitely
about the console players be getting robbed if they got charged for FreeSync. FreeSync is based off of a free standard.
It is absolutely, but I just think that the technology is there. They didn't have to put it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But they did. They went ahead and they added the HDMI 2.1 and the FreeSync, and I think these little things that they added into the console was smart on their part. But to me, the greatest thing they've done to this console, honestly, is that Hovis method. I just think that was the most genius thing that they've done to the console. And if nobody,
Oh, I agree with you. I actually think Scorpio is going to be great. Just the library alone, and the fact that it's going to upgrade your games.
it's going to upgrade your games as well.
It has all the extra features like the FreeSync and shit. It's going to be great.
and like the part that kills me the whole thing about Scorpio. I'll go ahead and switch off topic here in a couple of seconds, but it's like people act like just because there's no people are trying to like make it seem like that there's no exclusive games for the Scorpio, so it's going to be trash. And I'm like, I don't understand that logic, because they're trying to compare. They're kind of like trying to compare it with the Switch, to where it's like there's no games, it's not successful. And I'm like, even if Microsoft didn't drop any exclusives, they still got third-party support, and those games are going to be phenomenal.
Well, who's the ones dropping the shade? It sounds like it's a lot of PlayStation guys who only talk about exclusives.
It's PC guys, it's PlayStation guys, it's all of them.
But console dude's been saying for years, PC ain't got no games. I mean, that's kind of ironic to then throw that same argument at Xbox. Because it's like, maybe they have exclusives the console players don't want.
Because people on Twitter's been going at Kid Smoove over that.
I find it ironic that a lot of guys bring up Sony's lineup when in actuality, a lot of the lineup is third-party exclusives. It's not like it was Sony's first party dropping Nier Automata and Persona 5.
Nier Automata's on PC.
That's what I'm saying. Like, these games aren't first parties. These games could end up on Xbox at any time if they really want them to.
A lot of the reason a lot of those games don't end up on Xbox is because the Japanese developers said, "Oh, they don't sell on Xbox, so we don't make an Xbox version."
And
they're not willing to make an Xbox version, but they have to have a market there.
I don't think that that's going to be a huge issue going forward, because Phil Spencer did go talk to a couple of the publishers and Sony, because like I don't think that they expected the backlash to some of these games, because I mean they weren't just like, you know, I think a lot of the time is, you know, the Japanese market is underestimated, and when Noah and all these games just started piling up, I mean these weren't lackluster games. All these games were good games, and I think, you know, if one of these games was good, it wouldn't have been as bad. But game after game, it was a hit, and I think that really hurt Microsoft at the beginning of the year.
That's Sony being Sony. Sony's always done that. Like they start off slow, and then before you know it, they have this huge library of exclusives. And I'm not saying they're necessarily all good, but quite a few of them usually are.
Yeah, I just think that Microsoft, again, Microsoft needs to make sure that they build. I had an interview with Seamus Blackley, and we spoke about this because I asked, is it possible for Microsoft to build a studio in Japan? And he said, absolutely. But Xbox doesn't sell in Japan, so why would Japanese developers work for Xbox? And that's kind of crazy. That's a crazy notion that you would pass up a job just because something doesn't sell in your country, but has 30 million people across the world.
Perception is reality.
Exactly. So it's just
that's like, if like, and I'm going to throw a PC argument here, like where you see the numbers, you see PC is the biggest gaming platform by far.
Right.
Not in America.
Right.
In the rest of the world, PC is huge.
Right.
You know, especially like in countries where they might see consoles a little frivolous. A lot of European countries are like this. A lot of Asian countries are like this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you talk to the average American, nobody plays PC. And I think that's how the Japanese market sees Xbox. It's like, oh, well, everybody I see plays Nintendo and PlayStation.
Right. So they don't they don't bother. You know, Microsoft needs to figure out a way to try to build some sort of Japanese support by building their own studios here in the States, you know, or build a studio in Japan and just maybe have to overpay if that's what they want to get. But they're going to have to figure it out, and they have to regain the confidence. That's why Scorpio is such a great machine. You know, I read what they put in it, how fast developers can get their hardware working on the dev kits and stuff like that, and how quick it is. It's an amazing concept that they've made, first for the gamer and for the developer. You know, to give the gamers the power to run these games at the best and highest quality for consoles, and then you give developers the easiest tools to port and get right to optimizing the game, so you could spend nothing but time on quality and assets. This machine could really be special. Now, not special to the point that it can bring Xbox back, but definitely special to the point that it will make developers take notice to want to really reach the pinnacle of their own games.
I would. Does the Xbox One Scorpio, is that one still using the ES-RAM? I know that was a problem. I think
they got rid of that.
I wasn't sure. I don't remember all the specs.
What's cool about it is
that made it hard for porting probably too, having to use that RAM. Otherwise, it's just a PC.
Yeah, pretty much. They said what they did was when it comes to Xbox games, Xbox One games, and 360 games, they emulate the ES-RAM. They just take a small chunk of the GDDR5 RAM and take 32 megabytes of that and emulate the ES-RAM on it to get those games running. And at the same time, if you have a Scorpio game, shall I say an Xbox One game that up-res the 4K native, but you have a 1080p TV, you still keep 4K assets. You just get the 1080 resolution. That's huge. Like, when that happens, the first time we see two games side by side and the Pro versions in 1080-60 and the Xbox One and the Scorpio versions in 1080-60, but the Scorpio version has those 4K assets at 1080, people's jaws are going to drop. And that's what's really going to separate the men from the boys. And I think when people see that, they'll be shocked. They will definitely be shocked.
Well, I mean, War Tanks does that too. War Tanks has some 4K assets already.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be shocked, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. That's why people keep saying, "Oh, it's only marginally better than the PS4
yeah,
Pro."
No, the Xbox One Scorpio will destroy the PS4 Pro in terms of hardware specs.
Respect to the Pro has an amazing lineup this year, You know, and I keep stressing this. Everybody's like, they're dropping hit after hit after hit. Yeah, but that's after delay after delay after delay. At some point, they're all going to come. They're just all coming together in 2017. So again, you know, they're having an amazing year, and it looks like they're going to have an amazing back year with God of War and if any of their other games come out. But come on, let's not write Microsoft off yet. Crackdown could be the most revolutionary game to come out. We have no idea.
I think people are sleeping on State of Decay too as well.
I love the original State of Decay.
I think, you know, a lot of people remember this game what it was, which it was. It was an arcade game that got a lot more momentum than even the developers initiated. But now this isn't no arcade game budget. You know, Microsoft's really supporting this.
They really put money in it. Yep. Mm-hmm. I heard they got all new assets, all new visuals, the maps. Mm-hmm. They got 3 maps, and it's bigger than the first one. I'm
hoping they
and the first map for State of Decay was huge.
Yeah. I'm hoping they make it something similar to DayZ, just more polished.
It's gonna be sick. And 4-player co-op.
Yeah. Oh, they do a co-op this time?
Yeah, it's 4-player co-op.
That game will be amazing with co-op. That was one of the things I wanted in the original.
And it has dynamic narrative, which is something I've never heard of. So
dynamic that's a fancy way of saying choose your own adventure.
Yeah. So basically, they have some type of dynamic narrative added to it.
Games do that all the time. It's Fallout has that shit.
Not to mention, if Crackout comes out, how you know the perspective of Crackdown 3 is, it might change, you know, how the open world game genre rolls. That's what
I'm saying. It's a lot. The only game I'm concerned about is Sea of Thieves. I haven't played the alpha.
I was really looking forward to that, but now, like, the longer time goes by, like, the worse it gets.
I'm trying to. I want to get Craig Duncan on Tick and have him talk about Sea of Thieves, but I know he can't give away much. My concern is that Sea of Thieves, as fun as it may look, seems too bland. Like, I don't see enough customization in ships. I don't see enough customization in characters. I don't really know what's happening in the game. Like, what are the missions? Is there a story? How deep does it go? Is it like Destiny? Is it not like Destiny? You know, like, I want to be able to understand, can I make my own ship and my own, I forget the name, what they call the flag. It's like a Jolly Roger. Can I make my own Jolly Roger? Can I paint the ship? What can I do to make my ship, you know, as a team? Are we always going to have generic wooden?
You want that perspective when you're playing it and you know your friends are playing in the same thing. The moment you see their ship, you're like, yeah, okay, that's Kid. Let's kill him right now.
Yeah, let's go kill the Kid pirates. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're going to target him. Everybody going to target Kid Smoove. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I want to know what type of customizations that they have in the game. You know, what type of weapons they have in the game. How does those weapons affect your pirate? How do you make your pirate the best pirate? Everybody wants to have dope characters. You know, don't make the characters just generic. So that's my biggest concern with the game. The biggest concern for that game is we really don't know what the game is other than
that's my only issue. Is like what I played at E3, it was fun. But it's like, look, like enough times went by, we need to know more info, we need to separate this, and we need to know what we're getting into. Because I feel the hype dying. It is. Like they're taking too long.
Yeah, it's definitely dying. I think Microsoft is definitely going to show some big stuff at E3 though. They have this is what I see them dropping this year. They got Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, which I think will drop in October around Halloween. Crackdown, which I actually think they should drop in September. I think State of Decay should be the last game they drop because you don't want to hit November. You got to leave November alone. Heavy hitters in November, Red Dead Redemption, stuff like that or whatever. Stay away from November. You got Crackdown, you got Forza, which will probably drop in September, and then you have maybe one major exclusive title that we don't know about as a surprise, which you can fit in there. Then you have your Cuphead, your Tacoma, your Ori and the Blind Forest if they announce it, and the Will-O-Wisp, which is part 2. You have Ashen, which is a big RPG as well.
I want my Halo. I want my Halo anniversary. I want my Halo 3.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't want to see no legacy games at this E3. I really don't.
I do. I really want Halo. Halo 3 and Revolution is the only game I'm even looking forward to seeing from Xbox right now. That and State of Decay.
Halo for so long. I really don't. Like honestly, Microsoft should just stay away from these legacy games. This is the reason why they have this burden on them. I get it. I know people love Halo, Gears, and Forza. I get that. We're already going to get Forza. You can't have these games show up at every E3. They're at every E3. It really drives home the point that people truly believe Microsoft has no other games other than Halo, Gears, and Forza.
Even when they do drop games, like they still have the stigma that they only have these games.
That's what I'm saying. You have to figure out a way. Like Naughty Dog is stepping away from Uncharted after this. That's huge. That's a big deal. And they have another franchise that they can build upon in The Last of Us. That's why I kept stressing, like, if the Coalition shows up with Shanghai, that would be huge.
Oh, are they doing another game? They're doing a different game besides Gears? I didn't hear about no other games.
No, the original game that Black Tusk was doing was a game called Shanghai, where you played the spy. And you were a thief or something like that, or whatever. But it was like a concept. It actually wasn't a game. That game got shelved for Gears of War 4. They turned the studio
Give me
into a
one
Gears studio.
1 second, Cal. What, sir? What do you mean in the comment section? Like, okay, let me ask you guys. Okay, someone in the comment section. So, what are they launching with the Scorpio? Like this, people like. Okay, I get what you guys are coming from, but you are under the impression that this is a brand new console. This is just a mid-generation thing. Like, people are acting like these are launch titles. Like, they have to have launch titles like your standard beginning of a generation game. I was like, this isn't the same thing.
What was the PlayStation 4 Pro launch titles? What was the PS4 Pro launch game?
I was about to get on that. That's the irony of this argument. Nobody said that about the Pro. Maybe you could argue, oh, well, they had VR. I really think the only thing that Pro is really good for is VR.
I think, look, most people bought the Pro and just got the regular PlayStation games. I remember because I was at Best Buy doing some winter stuff, to get some extra cash for the holidays. And I remember they had the Pro was selling. In fact, actually, the Pro wasn't selling. The PS4 Slim was selling.
I got a Slim instead of a Pro. I know that much.
That's what I'm saying. The Slim was selling. The Pro was still on the shelf because a lot of people didn't want to spend the extra money for the Pro when the Slim was doing the same thing. But what was selling at the time was Uncharted. They were giving away Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted with a Slim. And if you bought a Pro, you didn't get a free game. But there was no major titles that came out last winter with the Pro. Like, there was, like, if you really think about it, you had The Last Guardian, which, by the way, didn't blow, the walls off anything.
Yeah, it didn't even utilize the Pro, I don't think.
It was just like Ratchet and Clank. All the big hitters came out earlier in the year. So
Sony's been doing that the last couple of years. They don't release in the fourth quarter.
Right.
I wish Microsoft will learn from that.
Yeah. What they try to do this year was they were supposed to have. This was the game they were supposed to have this year. This is how everything got messed up. Scalebound and Fable was supposed to drop in spring with Phantom Dust and then Voodoo Vince Remaster. Those were the 4 games. Then at the end of the year, you were supposed to get Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, Forza 7, and State of Decay. But because they canceled Fable, because Fable was going to be a MOBA and it wasn't shaping up the way they wanted to, and the issues with Scalebound and its engine and couldn't run properly, they wound up try to force Microsoft to be Sony. Like, oh, Sony held on to The Last Guardian. First of all, The Last Guardian had nowhere near the budget that Scalebound had. You have to think about the money that's involved in that. Number 2, they were getting that done from a third-party studio. Sony was using their own studios to build The Last Guardian. So they can do that. You can't hold Platinum hostage for 10 years to make Scalebound. That's not how that works.
They weren't even holding hostage. They were still releasing a bunch of games.
And it looked like that, they just wanted to part ways. They were tired of it.
Yeah, it wasn't working out. So they moved on and they invested that money into other things. Now,
they wanted to make sure that they didn't spend the kind of money on Scalebound that Sony spent on the Last Guardian.
Yeah, so I think people are trying to short stick Scorpio and trying to make it like it's this next gen console when it truly is a mid gen upgrade. It's just a much more powerful upgrade in comparison to what the Pro is to the PS4. And I have a Pro. Shout out to J Dub City. Big shout out to J Dub who purchased the Pro for me. really appreciative of that. But as a gift, I have a Pro, and I have Horizon Zero Dawn. I got a ton of games for it, and I love the console. I really do, which has me optimistic about Scorpio. I just think that Microsoft has games coming. People have to be patient and wait for them to come. They got a great indie selection coming, which a lot of people sleep on. You still got Conan Exiles coming. You still got City Skylines coming. Like all these PC titles that a lot of people blow over when they get on Xbox sell millions all the time. You know what I'm saying? So Microsoft has the games coming. It's just going to take time. And then on top of that, because it's on Scorpio, it's going to look better. It's going to look better in 4K. It's going to look better in 1080p. That's at the end of the day, and that's if the developers take advantage of it, and it should run more stable. So it's a big deal, man. People have to give credit when credit is due. You don't have to like Xbox. You don't have to like their games. They're not going to have a lot of Japanese titles, but you got to respect the direction that Microsoft's trying to go. And they've been hitting bullet points the last couple of months. And this refund policy is big, too. It's another thing that a lot of people are glossing over.
For some reason,
being able to get a refund on digital titles is huge.
For some reason, I feel like there's going to be some kind of digital announcement at E3 with this
digital gifting.
Before.
If they announce digital trade-ins, it's over. I know that doesn't make sense because it's not a physical thing. But let's say, for example, they give you 10% back of whatever the value of the game is on the market on the store. So if the game is $30, you get 10%.
And you're going to take that money and go straight back into their ecosystem.
It goes right back into purchasing something else. If you get a $60 game, you get $6 back. Now that's not a lot of money, but it's something for nothing because literally it's nothing. It's digital. You know what I'm saying? It's no box, so it's nothing you really had to get. So getting $6 back for a digital version of a game that you're no longer playing. Think about all the people who have like 150 games and you trade in like 50 games at $2 or $3 a piece, bro. You know how much money you would have? You could buy like 2 or 3 new games. Like, please, people would do that in an instant. Be huge if they were able. And it would be super consumer friendly and really put retailers on the back burner.
All right, but we're gonna go ahead and move on. Definitely sorry about we definitely went the left and right, but it was a good conversation. So I let it go, but I'm definitely trying to end this here in the next few minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip crossplay because I think we could all. I was gonna bring up that I think good aspects of crossplay for Windows 10 and Xbox One is that they brought something like Destiny to Windows 10 and there was crossplay between them. But what do you guys think? We'll go ahead and touch up on that real quick.
Don't do it on the Windows Store. I don't think because like the Windows Store, I just don't think the PC community is going to support it if you really want to do crossplay.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they've already said they're going to do it on Steam, or at least if you're going to do it on the Windows Store, allow it to just be cross-platform through all the markets.
Yeah, definitely. You got anything?
I would just do crossplay with Steam. That's it. And only for third party, not my first party. I wouldn't put first party games on Steam, but I would do crossplay with Steam. I'll figure out a way to get it done. Work with them, whatever I got to do. Because
there's already crossplay games with Steam. Rocket League, Street Fighter 5.
It's not on Windows. The PlayStation isn't there. It's just not.
All right, but
Advanced Warfare isn't doing nothing,
All right, so my last topic is exclusives. All right, at the Halo 2 event, Phil Spencer said that he went into more detail about obviously some documents came up here recently, and people have been going at it on Twitter, where the document pretty much said that there's a good chance that there's going to be Xbox One only games this holiday season. So do you guys think that the way to build the audience separately is to have separate exclusives for both of these platforms, or
Absolutely.
It's like what Kev West said. If you want to build up the Windows 10 following, launching just console games on there isn't going to do much because the PC community is completely different than the console community. They're into different games, and a lot of people I remember failed to listen. He said that he doesn't want to see your typical PC favorited games of a Windows exclusive game that Microsoft makes. Your MOBAs.
Right.
Your MMOs, which I can understand where he's coming from that, because if you got all of these places you can get this kind of game, why do you want them to oversaturate it with another store? So what do you? So I heard Cal said absolutely. So you guys think they should keep them split? Should there be any games that host migration with each other? That's on both.
I think that they should. In my opinion, I've always, from day one, as a console game, I always felt that they should be split. I think Microsoft has enough talent to create your flight simulators and your RTSs and your Age of Empires and have those strictly for the PC crowd, because those are the games that the PC crowd wants. I see it all the time. I see them clamoring for it and asking for it, and Microsoft isn't delivering it. And I think they can build studios for PC, but at the same time, the console market is different. Like Kev says, like he games on PC, and it's like you have to be able to really concentrate on where your money's at, which is Xbox in this regard, software wise. But you're also trying to build up the PC side. You can continue to do play anywhere, but I think the biggest thing is with the creators update and turning every console or every Windows 10 PC into some type of dev kit or whatever it is that they're doing. I think that's going to be huge too, because there's been some smaller titles that have been successful on the Windows Store and on Windows Phone and mobile tablets. And if they can continue to build this small indie library, they could one day maybe not compete with Steam, but could be a baby version of Steam. But the games have to continue to be good. They have to have good quality, and they need to have some really good exclusive content on there to grow that section.
I don't think exclusivity isn't really a big thing on PC. I don't think exclusivity is even a big deal for your average gamer. I think it is from the hardcore. Your average gamer is looking at multiplats. They're looking at multiplats. What multiplats can I play, and how does it benefit me? And to that, and they're looking at their individual library. To that extent, I don't think exclusives are the same thing they were years ago. Now I understand you sell exclusives to non-technical people about the hardware. It's like your average consumer doesn't care that the PS4 is more powerful than the Xbox One if all they want to play is Halo. I get that. The same way I don't care about all these entertainment features if all I want to play is Uncharted. I get it.
Right.
So, and that's what makes me indifferent about exclusives. I don't like it from a consumer standpoint, but I get it's how you differentiate your hardware for non-technical people.
All right.
So with that being said, no, I see no reason for them to separate the markets.
All right.
What I was saying earlier about the games that don't do well on PC, games that do well on PC are games that play well on mouse and keyboard. Flat out. Fighters don't do well on mouse and keyboard. That's why they're not popular. Racing sims don't do well on mouse and keyboard. That's why they're not popular. But shooters are extremely popular on PC. RTS are, again, games that do well on mouse and keyboard.
I suppose that's one thing us console gamers share with you, with the PC crowd, is shooters tend to do well on our shit too.
Exactly. Yeah, shooters do very well on console, and as they especially, like I said, it's a different mindset. It's a different audience. It's something that I think you have to be kind of ingrained into the PC culture, the PC community, to really get it. Like, there's a lot of stuff that console players will accept that PC players won't stand for. For example, paying $60 for games. A lot of PC players truly feel like I'm not paying more than $30 for a computer game, period. Because they never had to until like a few years ago. So it's things like that that make it different. That's why sometimes you don't see the big sales on games on PC that you see for AAA games. I'm talking like you do on console. PC players will play the same couple games for years. Think about it. They haven't really changed Counter-Strike, but it's been around for almost 20 years, and it's still one of the most popular games on Steam. And it hasn't been even with the 2-3 variations that they made of it. It's essentially the same game. Same maps, everything.
You got anything to say, kid? You've been kind of quiet.
Yeah, no, the whole like I said, I don't mind PC and Xbox like sharing games, but Kev West did open my eyes on stuff like RTSs and whatnot. I feel like games like Forza have no business on PC. Freaking obviously, I don't think Killer Instinct and stuff have no business on PC. And like I said, which further, I feel like a lot of these games that did end up landing on PC was to really honestly to usher in how things could work for Scorpio. And I feel like to further follow this up, Phil Spencer with his press release, was it 2 days ago or yesterday, when they were talking about that they're going to officially unveil Scorpio at E3, which now I'm kind of happy since I'll be there a lot. I'll be there, but is that he said they're going to be they're looking forward to showing games only playable on Xbox One and better on Scorpio. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess mission accomplished. Back to the exclusives. Now, I everybody thinking it's probably an error and whatnot. I don't think it's a typo. I don't think it's an error because they would have been talking up Windows and Play Anywhere all throughout that press, and it wasn't. So,
you know what? I do want to bring up that article, like the amount of reaching that I saw people doing on Twitter to keep the status quo of games, Xbox exclusives still going to PC was mind baffling to me. I'm like,
oh, that shit was hilarious.
It's like, look, like I get it, like and it would have been different if it was like people like Kev West that generally game on PC more. That's just like I'd like to keep them on Windows just in case if it's an option for me to play. But these are just straight up fanboys just trying to keep a status quo on their arguments. And, I was just like, wow, like we arguing about something really stupid right now. And then I see people like
that is exclusive or not. They're trying to denounce that, a platform is a platform.
And then, people are sitting there arguing and someone went at me and kids comment and they were like, they're lying to us. It's coming to both. I'm like, but Microsoft has been very upfront with their marketing, their messaging when it comes to the Scorpio, and when it comes to Windows 10 stuff, they've been very open with that too. Every time someone asks Scorpio, Phil Spencer about the Scorpio, he's very brutally honest, which I think sometimes his comments really they hurt it more than they help it. But this dude isn't trying to sell you something that is not. It's like, you look at the Windows 10. Every time a game's come out for Windows 10, they've been very brutally honest. They don't hide that shit. So why start now? Like, we're what, 3-4 years?
Well, let's not forget Quantum Break and the meltdown that happened with Quantum Break when they changed their mind about keeping it exclusive. That shit was pretty comedy.
It's just
I mean, they had no choice on that one though. That game flopped hard, bro.
Yeah,
like it was bad. They had to put that joint on Steam. That's how you knew that game was doing bad.
So I do have one last thing, one last little topic to talk about that's in this. Okay, as far as exclusivity, do you guys think that they would ever make a Scorpio exclusive games eventually, or you think they're gonna stick by their guns and just make it across the entire family of the Xbox brand?
Well, when we had Albert Pinello on the show, and I did the 4K 60 uncompromised, you can check that out on Tick Podcast or Tick Network.
Oh, you mean the one that every fanboy keeps bringing up?
Yeah, pretty much. We bring you that news. Albert Pinello says some things at the end of the show that I think people tend to forget, and I really want to reiterate is that Microsoft truly are trying to go the way of the PC with the console. And what he said was that they will push games on Xbox One until the hardware can no longer maintain the game, just like a PC. So at some point, they're saying that even if they come out with the next Scorpio after this Scorpio, they'll still continue to try to release those games with the Xbox One as the base hardware. But if the Xbox One can no longer run the games that's on the next generation console, then they'll stop because technically the console can't. And I believe at that point, you're going to have to. Probably about a generation later, I think that's what's going to wind up happening because you're going to be moving into the 10, 12 teraflop range. The base Xbox One is like 1.3 teraflops. That's going to be hard to really make a game. You're talking about really cutting a lot of things out in that regard. You're talking about probably 16 gigabytes of RAM at that point, going into the whole Vega and Ryzen chip now market with AMD. Like you're just talking about a whole new onset of power. And I don't know if the original Xbox will be able to handle that. However, the games because they can be emulated, will continue to be emulated on the newest hardware, which is just a software-based thing, which is genius on their part. So with them being able to do that and now having the licenses for all the Xbox One games now, they don't have to go back and get the licenses. They can just continue the licenses that they have, and that's why your library stays with you. Whereas with 360, they have to get approval. So in a generation or two, yeah, eventually Xbox One will phase out and Scorpio will get its exclusives because Scorpio will be the base console and Scorpio 2 will be the newest console. And that's the direction that they're trying to go. And that's what they're trying to do moving forward. The question is, when do you get to the point that the amount of emulation software is too much, takes up too much memory for the console? Because now you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of games that you have to continuously emulate generation after generation. And how do you sustain that? When does that stop? That should really be the biggest question, because in 20 years, if we're all still playing Xbox, how many games will we have and how many generations of consoles will be emulated?
Yeah, it's definitely a good
Fair point.
Like, I feel like they're mainly going to stick with, Xbox One, Xbox Scorpio, whatever it's going to be called. They're all, Scorpio games. There'll never be just a game on Scorpio that's not playable on Xbox One. But obviously, I'm talking the next few years, not when, they cycle out the Xbox One. I feel like the only way that they maybe be able to find a loophole to bring a game only to the Scorpio that's not on the Xbox One is if they made an exclusive game for Windows 10 and it was compatible with Scorpio.
Nah, I just don't see them. The only thing I see them doing is just virtual reality. And I'm hearing that there are virtual reality devices coming out that will work on the original Xbox third-party stuff. But Microsoft is working with multiple head-mounted devices, from Oculus Rift to Vive to their own head-mounted device, which AMD, and then they have like 3 other head-mounted devices that they're trying to bring in for affordability purposes, which actually don't even use cameras. They just use sensors, the in and out technique from their HoloLens tech that works with Windows 10. They're going to have about 6 VR devices, so you're going to have choice. The thing is, what do you pick? Which one plays what games? This is a dilemma. You're talking about multiple devices that may not play games that you already have. You know what I'm saying? Or it may play games that you can only get on this one device. Like Fallout VR is exclusive to Vive. You can only get that on Vive.
And that's bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? So you got Rift. You can't play Fallout VR. You got to get the HTC Vive. So it's a crazy notion. Now, if they eventually contract runs out and they put it on something else, that's a different story. But exclusively, I think VR is the only thing high fidelity wise that Scorpio will be able to play. And it's smart that Phil is taking this approach where he's not trying to jump into the fire, because now you see PSVR starting to try to be more commercially successful and things like that. So I think it's really important that Microsoft take their time and really pushing their own device. And I do like the AR VR concept that they're working on, which will probably release next year. I think that will be the smart choice instead of releasing Scorpio in that at the same time, which I think is what Sony should have done, because then they could have had PSVR come out with Scorpio and compete against it this year. And that would have been a battle, because a lot of people would have been hopped up on PSVR. But instead, they released all of the stuff at the same time. And as well as the Pro was doing, PSVR just didn't take off, I think, the way they wanted it to. They're going to say it is, but the reality of it is that it hasn't shot off, I think, the way they expected it to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But, exclusives, when it comes down to it, I do think that, that's one of the biggest snacks that even, people that don't really try to represent a brand do have with Microsoft right now, which, they're testing waters that they don't normally test, which I can give Microsoft that. They don't normally, Sunset Overdrive, we can all agree that that's just a game that no one thought would ever be on a Microsoft platform. I mean, look, I think Recore, out of all the games, I do like to see Recore, a second Recore, with the corrections from the first one, because I do feel like Recore and Rise are the two games with the most potential with Microsoft's new IPs right now.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I swear I wish they would just see. I just wish Crytek would just sell Rise to Microsoft. I really feel like my dream with that game is to turn Rise into like the Final Fantasy of hack and slash games.
And they could
use that title. You can use the title Rise. Son of Rome was the first game, and just create worlds with the gods manipulating different parts of history. You can do the 300. You can do Alexander the Great. You can do, Hannibal. You could just do all of these great warriors throughout history and be a soldier within this army, rising and being a champion or being a hero as the gods manipulate mankind. But each game would be a different Rise. So you would always get a new title like Final Fantasy, but the game would be Rise. I just think that would be so absolutely
I like that. And that could be a great Xbox IP if they kept it running.
And, that could be
problem with Xbox. One of my biggest problems is that they don't continue their franchises.
And that could be their equivalent.
There probably won't be a Rise 2. They more likely won't.
I think there's a good chance for a Recore too, though. I think they might try that.
Didn't Recore flop?
They're remastering Recore. Y'all didn't hear that?
Yeah.
That's true. I thought it was a
remastering Recore. That game been out not even a year.
They're fixing the issues that was wrong with the game the first time. They're adding new textures to go with Scorpio. This is what I've been hearing, and they're going to re-release it. And kind of like the definitive edition of Ori and the Blind Forest, they're going to have the definitive edition of Recore. And it'll be the complete
Are they going to eliminate all those extra cores? Are they going to eliminate those extra cores you have to get after the final boss?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people didn't. It wasn't that the game was bad. A lot of people just didn't like the extra work and the long loading times and the and the deaths.
I have
but
been
the
told.
platforming and the concept was good.
Yeah, and they successfully brought platforming to modern age. They did a really good job incorporating platforming, because platforming is not a dying genre. It's just like it's blamed. Like a lot of people don't really play it a lot anymore.
Right, like if you want a platformer, you play Mario.
And I think Rise could be. I'm trying not to compare these to PlayStation, but it's kind of hard. But I think Rise. People in the comment section, do not come at me with this statement I'm saying. I'm not saying this game is going to be equivalent. I'm saying it could be their version. If Rise could be Microsoft's version of God of War, maybe not to the standards that God of War is, but their hack and slash gory game is what I mean.
Microsoft does extremely well with action adventure games, action hack and slash games, and Western RPGs. They're very great with that. This is why Fable is such a missing title that's sorely needed.
Yeah,
it's the most sorely needed game that they need, because it really filled a hole for them. And Witcher sells well on Xbox. Look at all the Western RPGs that do well on Xbox. Skyrim, Fallout, Witcher, they do amazingly well. Look at all the people who want KOTOR back, or Jade Empire. Those games do exceptionally well on Xbox. And I think Microsoft should invest more in Western RPGs. But another game that they lost was Ninja Gaiden. That was a big title on 360 that they don't have, because the hack and slash genre isn't there. So I agree with you. Hack and slash would be a big genre for them to get back, as well as I think Western RPG.
I mean, if they came out with a Rise 2 and a Fable 2 at this next not a Fable 2, but what I think the way, if they don't want, cause obviously they lost their developer for Fable because they dismantled it. But if they gave Fable to Project Red and let them make a Fable game, a more dark, eerie game.
That's what I said. Xbox fans won't agree with that, though.
Well, see, I get it. You can still have that sarcastic, gritty humor in Fable. Just make it darker. I guarantee you it's one of the best games that comes out for Xbox in a very long time.
Make it basically like a Dark Zelda.
That's exactly what I was saying. Kev hit it right on the head. That's exactly what I wanted for Fable. I said, Like, get rid of the chickens and the farts. I think that's a bit childish. But you can still keep your British humor, but just give me an open world adventure title with lots of treasure, more enemies, puzzles, and make the lore as deep as possible. And CD Projekt Red has the skills to do that.
And then
Microsoft is going to use third party. I would definitely go with them. They have a great relationship.
And then, that really gets people, people talk about single player games. You could put co-op in there if you want, because I feel like co-op is still, a single player game in a way, because you could play it by yourself or you can bring a friend. And, yeah, so, Fable, 2-player co-op, a dark, gritty Fable that has a dark sense of humor, because that's pretty much what Fable was, a dark sense of humor, a more, gritty-ish, childish way. Right. So, you darken that up, and you bring certain aspects from Fable. You bring the magic system. I think part of the reasons that the past couple Fables aren't really did the greatest is because they kind of had a very shitty antagonist. Jack of Blades is what put Fable on the map, is because people hated that man. People liked the rival system. We haven't had a rival in Fable since the first one. Right. They made you test your morals in Fable. In the first one, man, when you sitting there about to kill Whisper, and Whisper looks up and she's like, "Don't kill me for money." And he's like, "I'll give you $20,000. I'm sorry, chick, you gotta go."
It's true though. It's absolutely true. The Fable's a franchise that they really need to reboot. Some franchises they need to reboot. They need to bring back their platformers. I said this before, and I don't want to keep the show going too much longer, but Microsoft with Rare have so many platformers, they could damn near rival Mario. Rival Nintendo. And not in a quality sense, but just in a platform sense. Rare, you got Banjo, Conker, Jet Force Gemini, Sabretooth, Battletoads. Think about all of these games and beat 'em ups you got. If you could reboot some of those franchises and bring them back, they don't have to be AAAs. All of them don't have to be AAAs, but they could be some budget titles, $39.99, $29.99. Similar
Especially
to
Banjo. People, me and Dizzy were arguing about it. Like, Banjo still got a name. It does.
Yeah, it's still relevant. You could work with Nintendo and come out with a Banjo kart game and maybe get a Nintendo spotlight character in the Banjo game and then put Banjo in Mario Kart. You could work that out. Microsoft and Nintendo have a great relationship. They've done things like that before. Get Blue Dragon. You still own the IP for Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. Try to get Sakaguchi-san to come back and make part 2s of those games.
I will say something. Before I'm about to wrap this up, because people got lives and stuff tomorrow. And talking about games, I could keep going on and on, so I got to keep a lid on it. But Lost Odyssey and Sakaguchi, he did say last year that he will be announcing a game this year. He will, but I don't know if it's going to be an Xbox game, because he's working. He said he's going to announce a game. It might be possible that he's working on 2 games, but the people who make Bravely Default for the 3DS, that's who he's working on a game with. So I don't know if it's going to be a PlayStation game. I don't think it's going to be PlayStation, because he might have a decent relationship with them, but there's a reason he ain't pushed a game with them.
I think it'll be a Nintendo game. Absolutely. I think it'll be a Switch game. Yeah, he just has a really.
They need to talk to him, because I think a Lost Odyssey 2 would really help them out too.
Would be huge.
But I appreciate you guys coming on the show. It's definitely a good conversation. Anyone in the chat, I did put, to be fair, the Xbox Scorpio was not a topic, but in the description and in the video name, it does say the future of Windows 10 and Xbox One, and Scorpio is part of Xbox, so sue me. So I definitely appreciate you guys. Where can they catch you guys at, Cal?
I'm going to be on... right now I'm out of commission. I'm in the hospital. If you guys don't know, so I haven't had a show the last couple of weeks. I may return sometime next week, but yeah, man, just look out for us on Tick Network on the YouTube channel. We cover everything. We got PlayStation, Xbox. We got the geek culture for movies and comics, and we got a debate show, Xbox versus PlayStation on there. We keep it mature on that particular show, but people can check it out with Fame Entertainment versus Nicodemus. And and check out ticgn.com, our multi-platform website, man. Very high quality content, great news on there, and all of our interviews, man. If you're an Xbox guy and you support the Xbox brand, check out Tick Podcast on Google or iTunes. We got interviews with Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg and Albert Pinello, and I just interviewed Seamus Blackley, the father of Xbox, man. Check that interview out. That was really dope. You get some really good insight on how the Xbox started because of PS2, and why Scalebound got canceled, possibilities, and how Scorpio will lead to new IPs and more money for Xbox. So definitely check that show out.
I do want to bring up before I pass the torch for outros. Cal said something really intriguing on Twitter, and I completely believe in it. We have too many completely dictator and completely one-sided or one-sided opinionated media outlets. So you definitely need to support people like Tick Podcast, Tick Network, people that say that they do have a preference, but they don't shit on the other preference just for media's sake.
Yeah.
Where can they catch you, Kev? Kev the Gamer. You can catch me on my YouTube channel at Kev the Gamer. Also check out the Pixel Crashers podcast. We have a dedicated channel for that as well, labeled the Pixel Crashers podcast. We do live streams every other Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard.
And Kid Smoove. I'm sure everyone here knows where to catch you, but go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it's Kid Smoove. Catch me on Twitter at Kid Smoove. The neighborhood.
But I will warn you, if you follow Kid, you're going to pop up on your timeline a lot because he tends to argue with people on his timeline.
Yeah, I need to calm that down.
I'm up already because the shit he says is hilarious. The debate to get in, I've been at work laughing my ass off.
I walk past Kid timeline on Twitter, I just hit hearts. His timeline be killing me. I'd be like, this dude is so funny.
And I try to stay away from the arguments on Twitter, but someone was arguing in his comment. I was like, this dude's an idiot. I gotta say something. And then I turn around, it's been 3 hours of arguing with him. Like, damn, I did it again.
Sometimes I'll read Kid comment and I'll be like, Kid, that's a bit outlandish. But then sometimes I'm like, come on, this makes sense. You can't argue with him and he makes sense. So I kind of jump in and try to back him up.
Yeah,
but it's
and a lot when it comes to Kid is I will contest to this. He be trolling some of these people. I'll be in a party before he makes some of these tweets, and he tweets them knowing what's going to happen.
That's the best part. That's fun to troll people. I be talking shit on Twitter just to get people in their feelings. I think people can figure that shit out. Like, if you catch me on Twitter talking shit about the console, I'm probably just trying to get someone's feelings.
That's funny stuff.
But I do appreciate you guys coming on the show. It was definitely a good show.
Awesome.
So we're going to go ahead and end this. Everyone in the comment section, definitely go in the description. I put everyone's info in the description. Follow these people. We're out of here. Peace.